4 shot. Do you hear any other shots being fired right now?
Outside. The guy's outside shooting.
Okay, can you secure the door so he cannot get back in?
It's locked.
It is locked. Is there any other entrances? Can you get those secured?
There's several, but I got people shot and...
Yes, we have help on the way. Stay on the phone with me, okay? Your patients that are inside, tell me about their injuries. Can we put some pressure on wounds? Where are they at?
We got one that's real. We got 2 that's real bad. You need to get here.
Okay.
Got 2 in the shoulder, 1 in the thigh, and 1 I don't know. He got shot in the head. We got 1 in the head.
Okay. This is what I need you to do for me, okay? The ones that have gunshots to the shoulder, can you get some pressure on those?
They got pressure on shoulder, pressure on thigh.
Great.
I'm going to go check on the other one.
So the other one, is everybody breathing? Can you tell me if everybody is breathing?
The one that's shot in the head, I don't know.
Can you check for me? Are you able to do that?
He's breathing. Just barely.
He's barely breathing. Is he laying on his back?
Yes, he is.
Okay, can you get to him? We're going to get his airway open.
At one point during the shooting, Fred exited the building to shoot at those who managed to escape. And it was there that he was witnessed reloading his weapon.
He was in a paint suit because he had gotten shot in the booth. And, seeing all that blood on the pure white just made it that much worse.
And I heard a loud bang. And I saw a forklift driver sprinting, running. And I was like, okay. My first thought was like, he hit something. Something was about to explode. There was going to be a fire. And then I heard the OPAC Travis. He was like, get out of here. Start running. Get out. Get out. There's a man shooting. There's a man firing. And I told the girls, I was like, let's go. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
When Hesston Police Chief Doug Schroeder arrived on the scene, he was the first responding officer. Knowing time was of the essence, he wasted no precious moments waiting for backup. He rushed into the shooting, where he encountered Fred almost immediately.
There's a lot of shots in a short amount of time. Time is critical. Time's critical to saving lives, to saving casualties. And so it does not make a lot of sense for law enforcement to wait on teams of 2 or 3, 4 to show up. At one time we trained that way. We trained to form a diamond formation and go through it. The most current research and best practices involves a solo engagement to quickly stop the threat. Yeah, honestly, if I knew 20 years ago what I'd be through in this last 20 years, I don't think I'd have the courage to be a police officer. I just wouldn't. I've seen too much, I've done too much, I've seen too much evil. But slowly, through training, it's my response and the response of other officers has become ingrained. God was with me, no doubt. I didn't do this to be a hero. I'm not comfortable with that title. When I retire, I want to be known that as somebody that helped somebody else as best he could in any circumstance. Whether that's something simple, changing a tire, or I don't really want to be known by one event, my actions within 5 minutes of one day of my life. You'd have to be naive not to get that feeling that there is some difference in people's perception, and instead of just seeing it on the 6 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, it happened in your backyard. That changes us. I mean, like it or not, everybody here has been changed by that.
So how have you...
The two exchanged gunfire, and Chief Schroeder shot and killed Fred at 5:23 p.m. Fred was shot 4 times, once in the abdomen, once in the chest, and once in the back and arm. The chief was uninjured in the shootout. His bravery in running into the danger undoubtedly saved countless lives.
The law enforcement here in Hesston that responded right away. And even though he took fire, he went inside of that place and saved multiple lives. A hero, as far as I'm concerned.
Several people were able to flee from the building and were scattered across the lawn. There were innumerable injuries among the 200 to 300 various people who were inside the building at the time of the shooting.
He came out and we noticed he was shot, and so I stayed with him for a while, and I tried to wave down, police, law enforcement, or make sure that, ambulance was coming out.
Nearby Hesston College, which was only blocks away from the plant, was placed on lockdown, and a local high school was established as a reunification center for families. It also served as a staging area where police commenced the arduous task of interviewing and collecting statements from the hundreds of employees working that day.
But we're on autopilot. We train for these. Doesn't mean you're prepared, for what you see, but you go on autopilot and we just do what we're trained to do.
11 of the 14 injured were rushed to 2 different hospitals in Wichita, and the other 3 were taken to a hospital in Newton. Unfortunately, the research didn't produce the extent of the injuries to the people brought to Newton. However, the 11 that were rushed to Wichita sustained injuries of various degrees, leaving 1 in critical condition. 5 were listed in serious condition, and the other 5 were in fair condition. After securing the scene, investigators searched Fred's home, where deafening music was blasting from the trailer.
Yeah, I had actually just gotten off duty less than an hour before that when I was notified about what was going on. Being a small town, we were down a patrol car, so I responded in my personal vehicle. I arrived on scene and there were still people exiting the building, I assisted in partially securing or clearing the building for any other suspects. After that, then I went into help with the recovery mode. There was lots of employees trying to direct us and steer us, so they were very helpful on getting us to where patients were.
30-year-old Renee Benjamin was a free-spirited woman who was hilarious and gave 100% of herself to anything she committed to. Equally stunning, inside as she was outside, Renee was a joyful person who had much left to give back to this world. Her greatest passion was natural remedies. Renee will be deeply mourned by all those who knew and loved her, including her girlfriend of about 3 years, Dominique Woods.
She loved to read. She was a reader. Nobody really knew that. We loved to go to Colorado. She loved the mountains.
Joshua Higbee was born on June 10, 1984, making him only 31 years old when he was killed. He was adopted into the Hinson family at 2 years old, and was raised with a brother and sister. Joshua's early years were fraught with issues and chaos, yet he managed to turn his life around, creating a successful life. He attended Colvin Elementary School and later Curtis Middle School, and graduated from Bueller High School in 2002. Nicknamed Mr. Fix-It, Joshua loved tractors and anything auto-related, though his purest joy came from spending time fishing with his son and beloved fiancée. Parenting was something Joshua took very seriously, but he absolutely loved being a dad. In fact, Joshua even worked as a freelance handyman to earn extra income to help support his child. He was known as a gentle, compassionate person who would help anyone in need and will be grieved each day. 44-year-old Brian Sadowski, the youngest of 5 children, was born in Newton, Kansas on June 22, 1971. Brian married his soulmate Violet Drake on November 19, 2012, and had 1 son named Martin. Brian was known as the class clown during his school years, which was fitting because he loved making other people laugh and was very adept at it. In addition, he had a deep respect and love for animals and was described by others as a devoted, reliable man who was incredibly hardworking. He worked for Excel Industries for about 6 years before the shooting and was considered an exemplary employee. So much so that only 1 hour before the shooting, Brian was promoted to Raptor Auto Tech. He previously was employed as a safety representative for a variety of departments within Excel. Brian would drop everything he was doing if someone needed a hand, and that selflessness is why so many were drawn to him. A massive sports fan, Brian loved the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Royals, and the LA Lakers, but he was a huge NASCAR fan. All will profoundly feel the loss of Brian.
He was always there for me, no matter what. You know, we didn't talk every day, but he was always that one person I could call, and he was right there.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Excel Industries produced the first zero-turn lawnmower in 1964. It was called the Hustler. The company was founded in 1960 and is based in Hesston, Kansas. Their website states, quote, Excel Industries is a leading manufacturer of premium commercial and residential turf equipment. Excel produces two different brands, called Hustler Turf Equipment and Big Dog Mower Company, and the company is a proud member of the Outdoor Power Equipment Institute. They also work in partnership with Hesston College and the local United Way as a means of giving back. Hesston, Kansas, is located in Harvey County and was founded in 1886 and later incorporated in 1921. The city is named after the Hess brothers, who owned the land where a depot was constructed along the Missouri Pacific Railroad. The city's total land area is 3.56 square miles, housing an estimated 3,700 residents as of 2019. The two largest employers in the area are Excel Industries and AGCO Hesston Corporation. The city is a blue-collar town with 3 schools, including Hesston Elementary, Hesston Middle, and Hesston High Schools. 38-year-old Fred was born in 1978 and lived in Miami Gardens, Florida with his mother and 2 sisters, though he moved to Kansas a few years before the shooting. Fred had a lengthy criminal history, though he managed to stay reasonably clean for nearly 10 years and was always trying to turn his life around. Co-workers and friends reported that Fred was mainly quiet, but he lit up like a Christmas tree when speaking of his children. They were the true loves of his life, and anyone could see how much he cared for them. However, those same people also indicated that Fred was more isolated recently, not taking proper care of personal hygiene, and he seemed sad. Yet, despite his dark moods, he never hinted at the type of anger and violence he displayed on February 25th. Perhaps the sole, or at least the main reason for Fred's downward spiral was the previously mentioned restraining order his ex-girlfriend had filed. Court papers show that she claimed to believe that Fred needed serious psychological intervention, and that he was severely depressed, calling him a hot-tempered alcoholic. In an effort to maintain her privacy and protection, the ex's name was redacted from court records, noting that one incident between the couple culminated in Fred placing her in a chokehold, cutting off her ability to breathe. He finally released her, though she sustained many additional injuries. Fred was arrested twice in November of 2008, and those arrests resulted in convictions for harassment by telephone and disorderly conduct. In 2010, he was convicted of drunk driving, and between 1996 and 2005, he was arrested numerous times for various offenses. He ended up with charges that included carrying a concealed weapon in 1996 when he was 28 years old, another carrying concealed in 1997, a no-contest plea to a burglary in 2001, and a domestic violence arrest on February 16, 2005 in Miami, Florida. The domestic incident occurred when his then-girlfriend reported that Fred grabbed her by the neck, punching her head. Just before he was scheduled for trial in that case, the victim stopped cooperating